privileged here. We're going to see a light show here that's never been attempted anywhere in the world, where we've got hot air balloons, music, laser lights, the whole thing. Now, before we get going, I'll tell you a little bit about these balloons. These are all licensed aircraft, and any one of these balloons could take off right now and go up to 5,000 meters. Not that you do it at night, it would be a lunatic thing to do. But you can fly these balloons very high and very low. And they're wonderful. They're the simplest flying machines that fly, but they're very complex to fly. Because if you look at them closely, you'll notice there's no brakes and no rudder, no steering wheel. So when a pilot takes off in one of these balloons, in a wicker basket, I'll tell you about the wicker basket in a minute, they have to play with the winds. And they fly at different heights in the winds to go where they want to go. And most of these pilots here can fly 20 kilometers and land within 100 meters of where they said they were going to land. It's extraordinarily skillful. Now, most of these balloons have been made by Kavanagh Balloons. Hey, Phil, fire your liquid fire, will you? See this balloon here? That was made by Phil Kavanagh, who's a Sydney balloon manufacturer, famous throughout the world, who's introduced a lot of innovations into modern ballooning. Now, the basket of these balloons is the same, made out of the same wicker that was used in the first balloons that were flying in the 1780s, hundreds of years ago. The material has never been bettered, because when you land in one of these balloons, there's no brakes, and you go clattering across a field or a paddock until the thing stops. And wicker is very resilient, and you can bounce against it without hurting yourself. The rest of the balloon is very modern. It's made out of stainless steel components. You're wondering about the size of these balloons. If you had 77,000 basketballs, they would fit into that balloon there, the Kavanagh balloon, the first balloon. The balloon has got about 3 tons of air in it. 3 tons is 3 times the weight of a small car, and it flies because what you do is you heat it with these burners, which are fired by liquid propane. You heat the air inside the balloon up to about the temperature of boiling water, and that's enough to lift the balloon off the ground, and off you go. A few other things. When we fly, we often fly into airports and things like that, so we carry instruments with us that tell us. It's quite amusing to call an airport to say you're going to land on their tarmac, because we're the only aircraft that land going downwind. Everybody else turns and comes the other way. So, what we're going to do this evening is, there's 2 different types of burner on the balloon. There's the main burner, which you can hear, the one that makes the big roar. That's about 2,000 horsepower. It's extremely powerful, and that's what gives the balloon its power. But then the other burners, the very luminous ones, we use near the ground when we're flying low over cattle and things like that, so we don't disturb them. Now, these balloons, modern balloons like this, have been flying since about 1965. Before then, hot air balloons, they were flown in 1783 to start with, and then more or less not used until 1965, when these modern materials became available. Now, if you want to become a balloon pilot, first thing you've got to do is come and see me. The next thing is you need about 16 hours. You only need 16 hours flying them in order to gain a sort of student pilot's license. Flying them is an absolute art form. To fly them well is an art form. Just to fly them and go up and down, not so difficult. But to actually fly them where you want them to go, to fly around obstacles and land where you want to go, requires years of experience. So most of these pilots here have learnt their ballooning over a period of 2 or 3 years, crewing for other pilots. And then they get their licenses, and then we're all ready to go. Now, you might wonder why we never fly these things at night, and why we fly them early in the morning or late in the evening. The thing is that during the day, the sun heats the ground, and then you get thermals forming. The air gets stirred up, And it's only in the early morning, in the cool of the morning air, like tomorrow morning. How many people here are coming to the tether flying tomorrow? Hands up. Oh, I can't see too many hands, but nearly all of these balloons will be inflated on the field here from 6 a.m. and we'll be putting them on tether ropes so you can go up and down in the balloon, which in itself needs a lot of skill to do it properly. But, okay, so these balloons, we normally fly them out in the bush, away from the city. Some balloons fly out of Parramatta here, but once you get airborne in Parramatta, there's very few places to land. So often you have to go a long way before you can land the balloon, and you normally arrive in a public park. But out in the bush, we fly a lot down at Camden, and we fly a lot in Canberra and Canowindra, well out of town. So there's lots of tales you can tell about surprising things that balloonists have done, because we normally arrive unannounced and uninvited. We just appear out of the sky in the early morning. And if you're an experienced balloon pilot, you always try and land near a property where they're probably going to give you breakfast, because usually people are delighted to see you arrive and they want to have a little look at the balloon. So the balloon display is going to go on for about 15 minutes. And it's going to involve a lot of laser lights. It's going to involve music. We're synchronized with the music is synchronized with the burners, or the burners with the synchronization. And all of these pilots have been practicing today to get it right. So at the end of the display, be sure to give them a big round of applause, because they worked hard to make it work for you. So enjoy the show!